Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. You know what I like to do on the show? I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to be your best. Now, you know what I'm going to tell you to do? Go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea because we are about to get started. Hello, Denise Harvey. Thank you so much for being
Hello.
on today.
I am so glad to be here with you once again.
Oh my goodness, I so loved our time together. You were on season 6, and we have just completed season 7. I cannot believe that we are already ready to start shooting season 8, and I'm just so excited to have you back on. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for asking me to come back. I
Oh, I
appreciate that.
love it. Listen, not only did I enjoy you, but those watching your episode enjoyed you as well. So, numbers don't lie. So, different people definitely enjoyed watching you. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Now, you wrote a children's book. Growing Up Sassafras,
Yes.
Where's My Daddy? I
Yes.
love the title.
Yes.
I had an opportunity to look at the book as well. Definitely fun, even though you're talking about a topic that really needs to be addressed for children.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you, how have you been since the last time that we spoke with the whole COVID-19 thing going on? How has being an author been for you since then?
You know what? Um, it's given me an opportunity to continue to write because I still work, but being that I'm home every day, like so many of us are, I literally have been putting off a lot of the things that I was supposed to be doing. Not only did I have the second book in the Sassafras series, but I want to concentrate on that one there. But I also had another book that had been on my heart for so long to write, and it's for women, and it's called Emergence of Me: Discovering My Courage and My Identity. And that one there, I really, it was kind of hard because I was using a lot of my truth, a lot of my growing up, a lot of my hurt and my pain to help other people who may have gone through, and I know they've gone through, people, we all go through things, same thing. But just trying to put that out there, I started writing that so long ago, and I would have been remiss if I did not take this opportunity with everything going on in the world to sit down and pour out my heart and get that book done. So that kept me busy a lot. I had some other
Yeah.
things going on too personally, things that I'm working on, but just trying to make sure I got that done, as well as started writing Hurting Little Hearts. And what I did was I took one of the characters, one of the little boys from Sassafras, which I have right here, Growing Up Sassafras, and one of her little buds who also lost his mother. I wanted to start getting into the grief that children experience when a parent doesn't, it's not just a divorce or separation, but their parent passes away and they're never going to see them again. And these children still go through the hurt, the pain, the anger, the things that adults go through at their level. It cannot be diminished the way it is diminished, and no one really helps them out, or maybe they don't believe it's as serious, or if they're going to grow, or they're going to grow out of it. So I really want to kind of touch on that, and it's a really hard situation, it's a sad situation, but just like with the sassafras, I still want to identify it, I still want to speak about it because I believe children need this.
Hmm. Hmm. And I love the fact that even though it happens to adults,
Yes.
adults are the ones who get the majority of the attention. You are so right with that. What I love is that you are addressing it from a child's perspective. And you're
Yes.
so right. Children don't get quite the attention that the adults get. You and
Right.
I have
Right.
spoken before. My father passed away when I was 10 years old, and it was a huge blow for me. I am 1,000% a daddy's girl, so it
Right.
was devastating to me in my world. So
Yes.
you
Yes.
are so right. Adults do need to remember to check on the little ones because they're hurting too. They may not grieve the way that an adult grieves, like they
Right.
may not
Yes.
look the same,
Yes.
but they're still grieving. And so many children, you're right, they act out, they act up,
Yes.
their grades
They
drop.
shut
They
down.
also can
Mm-hmm.
become depressed,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
It's not
That's right.
it's not just the adults that are feeling this.
Yes.
So I thank you so much for addressing that. Now someone might be saying, well, how does she know, what gives her the right to be able to talk about this? I didn't read your bio for this particular interview, but you have the knowledge base, you have the education to be
Yes.
able to talk to
Yes.
folks about this. Can you tell them a little bit, the folks who aren't familiar with you, can you tell them a little bit about your background that gives you the perspective that you have?
Absolutely. Well, number one, I am a child of God. I'm also a military spouse. My husband served in the military for over 20 years in the Air Force, and he's retired. And not only that, but the most important thing, I went to school. And when I went back to school, I didn't even realize that counseling was the field that I wanted to go. I literally had a light bulb moment with Jesus. When I had, where the light bulb goes off and it's like, Christian counseling, is that a thing? Oh my God. And so, and even as God prepares and he calls us for such things that he has for us to do, I thank him that he knew in my heart I wanted and desired to have the education to stand on. And I thought about it even with my first book. When I'm writing, it's not like I did not go to school for this. I have a bachelor's degree in Christian counseling. I have a bachelor's degree in crisis counseling. I have a master's degree in family advocacy. So therefore, I believe I've done my homework. By the time we get to a graduate level and we're writing and you are reading and you are researching, there's no way we just don't know. And because I went to a school that where it afforded us the opportunity to pair the word of God with the counseling, with the concepts, with the things of the world, the things of the world, the things of how the word of God sees things, that right there gave me all I believe I needed at that time and for this purpose that he has me to do.
Mhm, mhm. Thank you so much for sharing that, because with so many authors that I spend time with, it's a fictional book, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So they're just creating and they're sharing the story and they're taking us along on the journey. But when we start talking about serious things like
yes,
what you're dealing with about grief
yes.
and all of that, I want people to know that you didn't kind of just pull this out
Yeah,
of
this is
the
not made
air, not
up.
out of left field.
Yes,
You actually have the education to be able to back up exactly what you're saying. And I think for many people, that's going to change their perspective. And they're going
right,
to say,
right.
okay, I can trust this book because
Yes,
I know, who's writing this book. So
yes,
I
yes,
love that. I love that. Now,
yes,
for so many people, they are trying to really find themselves during this time period. I mean, it's Christmas is in the air, and it's a beautiful time in that people tend to be a little happier. People
right.
tend to be a little bit kind of romantic about Christmas. Like everyone wants to meet and greet and hug and share gifts and all of that. But for so many of our fellow citizens and our global citizens, this
Right,
will be their first Christmas without their loved one, due to COVID-19. I'm
right.
sure, others have passed due to heart disease or diabetes or whatever it is, but especially with the pandemic, it's hitting people in a very different way, if you will, because you weren't prepared for this illness,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
So, for someone who may be having a really tough time at explaining to their kids or getting through this themselves, I don't want to necessarily put you on the spot or make you come up with a therapy session, but what bit of advice can you give to that person that's really having a tough go at it?
I believe there's a lot of people having a tough time of it. One thing I remember, when we were in the military is that this time of year was always very hard for soldiers and their families, because you have a lot of people that are deployed. You have a lot of people that are missing their loved ones. You also have a lot of people who have died during conflict times. So when you're overseas, you're already, you got that loneliness and gosh, I wish I was home with my mom, and this is what they would be cooking and I'm just missing out on everything. And so this time of year that we find ourselves in with everything that's been happening with the pandemic, it's almost kind of the same. Things are not the same. And people right now are striving and they want things to be the same. They want things to return to normal so bad. But I don't see where it could possibly be normal. It really is. I keep hearing the new normal. Well, you know what? It really is. And I think a lot of times, I believe it'll make it a little bit easier when we start to embrace the change that we have to change. It's almost like this change has been forced on us.
Yeah.
Even if even if you can go out and you can gather, we go everywhere. I believe there's probably still going to be a lot of families gathering because they miss each other so much and
Yeah.
they want it to be the way they always had it to be, and they're willing to take the chance to do that. But we have to be
Mhm.
careful. And if someone finds themselves to where they're if they have a compromised system where they really shouldn't be around,
Mhm.
if they're going to go around, they just need to take the precautions. They really do. And we need to think of our loved ones who really are taking the precautions and can't be around.
Yeah.
We have to try to do more FaceTime, more
Mhm.
Zoom parties with our family, get together, because you're going to have those older family members that no one wants to put them in danger. Or what if they're already sick?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
really is looking at things a different way. Just because we look at things differently don't mean it's a bad thing. We just have
Right.
to come up with different ways to do what we want to do, to be happy, and to be with each other, and to make it through
Absolutely.
this period of time that we find ourselves in.
Right. Because it won't last forever. You know,
No, no.
I tell everyone, I said, I talk about my grandmother a lot on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela on radio. And the
Yeah,
listeners, I'm sure they're tired of me talking about my paternal grandmother. But she was born in 1908. And I tell
yeah.
everyone, and my grandfather was born in 1903. And I say, you know what, guys? When the 1918 Spanish flu came around,
Uh-huh.
my
Right,
grandparents were able to make it through that, right? They
right,
were
right.
able to get through something that was the equivalent to our COVID,
Yes,
right? But
exactly,
they just
exactly.
had to follow the protocols. And let's look at the long picture, right?
That's
Let's
right.
let's look
Look at
at
the
it.
long picture.
We're
Yes,
only going to be inconvenienced for a little while. And I say, well, 2020 has been quite a year. So if it means me
absolutely.
wearing a mask this year so that I don't have to wear a mask for Christmas
For next,
2021,
yes, exactly,
then it's
exactly.
like let's do what we need to do. So I can definitely understand that. And you're right. Let's not look at the things that are restricting us, but instead
No.
let's try to look at the positives and find a way to bring ourselves together. Anyone who's down for a Zoom Christmas, I'm willing to participate.
Yes,
I think that's
yes.
awesome. We can still get together. We can use the technology that we have. Many of us have those, without giving out our brands, but we have those video
Yep,
little tablets that we can set up, and we can still make bread using grandma's recipe.
that's
Grandma can
right,
still be
that's
there,
right.
or our mothers can still be there. If we look at how can we make it happen as opposed to what can't we do, I think we'll
Exactly,
definitely change it.
exactly.
Thank you again for coming on. And if I didn't mention it before, thank you again, you and your husband, for your service to this great country of ours. Military people do not serve alone, their families serve with them.
Yes.
So it is a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for your dedication to country, to family, and to faith. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much for having me again. I appreciate you so much.
I love it. Now, before I let you go, I'm sorry, let me ask you one last question. Remind everyone the title of your book. Where can we get a copy, and how do we stay in contact with you?
Absolutely. Here's my book, Growing Up Sassafras. Where is my daddy? And you can find this on Amazon.com or my website, DeniseHarvey.com. And you can find me also on the website. You can put little messages in there for me. And I'm also on Facebook under Denise C. Harvey. for
Gotcha.
for the book.
Gotcha. I love it. Thank you again, Denise. Have a
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas to you
You
and your family.
too. You too. Bye
Bye
bye. Thank
bye.
you.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it, so do your part and stay home. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit social gatherings. If you need essential items like food and medicine, try using a delivery service. If you must leave your house for essential items, or if you want to take a walk for exercise, make sure to wear a cloth face covering. Stay at least 6 feet away from other people. Try not to touch frequently touched surfaces like light signals, street signs, or benches. And wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. It takes all of us to slow the spread of the coronavirus, so stay home unless absolutely necessary. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
We're home during COVID-19, but we're not alone. New Life Pastoral Counseling can help. For affordable Christian counseling, visit newlifepastoralcounseling.com or call 562-209-2083 today.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. You know what I like to do here? I want to enlighten you. I want to inspire you. I want to empower you to become your best self. I'm so glad that you are here with us today because I am celebrating Christmas time, one of my favorite seasons, and I'm so glad that you are able to join us. So, you know, go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea because we're about to get started. Our guest today is Tom Tikka, and we're going to talk a little music today. So let's get started. Hello, Tom. Thank you so much for spending time with me here today.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on the show.
I'm so excited. I always love it when I have my musical guest on. I am a huge fan of music in general. I think it is an international language, if you will. It makes everyone feel good, even if they don't know the words that are being said. So I want to ask you a little bit about your being in the music business, if you don't mind, and of course, about projects that you have going on and upcoming. So first, can you tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about your band?
Well, that's a little bit about me, and the band. The current band right now, I suppose, that I'm mostly involved with is the Impersonators. And then I have my solo venture, which is Tom Tikka and the Missing Hubcaps. And they're basically projects that are happening at the same time. When one band is taking a break, the Impersonators is actually a real band, or a duo. The Tom Tikka and the Hubcaps project is just me doing all the instruments and everything by myself. So it's a make-believe group completely. But it's quite handy because I'm addicted to making music, and when our producer and my bandmate Antti Audio wants to take a break from recording, they usually do something else, and I just write a few songs and start working on my solo stuff. So
Now, when it comes to the type of music that in your heart or in your mind's eye when you're writing your music, what would you say is the best genre fit for you?
well, that's actually a tricky question because there really isn't a genre for my music nowadays. I discovered this couple of years ago when my label head, Dennis Weitzel at FBP, wanted to find out what kind of music impersonators are performing. And I hit a brick wall. I started Googling genres, and you wouldn't believe how many genres there are out there. I would label my music pop rock, but then again, if you listen to pop rock these days,
Mm-hmm.
that's a little bit. My pop rock is old school, like maybe a little bit more eclectic.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you are so right. It's almost like there are micro genres. I don't know if I'm making
Oh
up
yeah,
the word
neo
there.
punk. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you see
it's
what I
like
mean?
what?
Yeah. Yeah, I checked out punk. Honestly, I did punk rock, and
Mhm.
then there were like 20 different genres, sub genres, and I'm like, what difference does it make? Surf punk,
Yeah. Yeah.
neo.
It blew my mind one day. I was looking for something because I wanted to ask an appropriate question, and I just said, okay, I don't think I'm gonna walk down that path because I don't
Yeah,
know. I just don't know which one of these I'm supposed to click on. I'll just ask him and let it go from there. So absolutely, it is amazing what music has developed into nowadays. I like what you're saying. Let's keep it in this lane and then let you decide whether or not you like it. I love it. I love it. Now with COVID going on, unfortunately, it has really inhibited many of my musical guests from doing what they love, and that's being out on the road and performing and doing all of that interactive type of sharing. How have you been able to kind of adapt um, your ability to but still be able to get out there? Are you doing like the Zoom concerts or the
yeah, I'm
Facebook
doing
live?
those. I'm doing those. Yeah,
Hmm.
uh, I'm actually doing one next week. And I've done a few of those. The impersonators in the missing hubcaps don't really tour. I used to tour a lot. Um, and um, and the Carmen Gray, the band that I was writing for, recorded for Sony BMG. So you can imagine that was sort of a big thing.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, touring, I've done my share of that, and so with the COVID thing, it's actually gotten me to play live again because for many years I didn't play live, but
Yeah.
now then, I was asked, is like, why not play live? And I'm like, can you play live? Like, no, on Zoom, and so that's what I've been doing now. It's
Yeah.
actually been great fun. It's a little bit weird if you're used to an audience to be playing to your computer, seeing your
Yeah.
own image, and it's like, whoa, I look pretty cool. That was a good move, and you're not supposed to be really doing that. It's kind of confusing at first, but you get used to it.
Right. You have to get used to it. You're so right. It's kind of like with filming now. With me being in one location and my guest being in a different location, I do miss that in-house filming and having everyone come and just the vibe and the energy. You're right that you get from having that that live performance, if you will, of having the people in the same room with you.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
with that being said, because I know how I feel, that I miss having that kind of like in studio, I'm sorry, that live performance feeling. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer a live setting because you get that energy? Do you like more of an in studio because um, you can kind of express yourself and allow the engineers to do what they do, or is there no comparison? Each one is great in its own right.
I think each one is great in its own right. But if I had to pick one, it'd probably be the studio
Okay.
setting. Because I grew up with the my parents' era music, because that's what they were playing. The Beatles, the Beach Boys. These guys were using the studio. Well, it was almost like an instrument in itself, uh,
Hmm.
in lack of a better
Yeah.
term or way of describing it. But yeah, I mean, I prefer being in the studio because I have all the control. I can have as many takes as I want. However,
Right.
after I've played live and there is that energy that you're talking about, and the rush and everything. You kind of like after each and every gig, whenever it doesn't matter where you play, how big the crowd is, the energy is still there, the rush is still there, and when you walk off the stage, you swear you're coming back tomorrow. But of course, in reality, you'll be back in the studio working on your new EP. Right?
I tell you, it is just so it is so different and making these adjustments, and my heart just goes out to everyone because I know that even though we're all adjusting into our temporary new normal, I think for some people, it might even be difficult or hard to go back to the way things used to be
Oh,
until
I
it
agree.
really feels comfortable,
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
I agree, and I'm wondering if we're ever truly going to go back to exactly what was before
You know,
COVID, because I,
I
because I
don't think
think
we
companies,
will.
right. Everybody's finding out we can actually do these things remotely.
So it's I love how we are adapting and we're learning how to still do what we love in a way that it may be different, but we're still able to get that message out there to our listeners and to our viewers. So my last question for you is, since we are inspirational TV and Faith Talk Radio, how do you believe that your faith has played a part in who you are?
Well, it's had an immense role in my life. My grandma, my paternal grandma was very religious, and she more or less I was brought up by her. And I I'm not much of a churchgoer these days, to be honest with you. Part of the reason is I have 6 kids, and they keep me immensely busy. But yeah, I mean, I think that faith, in terms of, in my case, I'm a Christian, but faith in something bigger is really important for all of us. As you mentioned, whatever it is that folks are believing in, because I think that by the time you get to our age, as we've already established that we're of the same vintage, um, you've had your ups and downs, and I think that it's very easy. My grandma used to say that it's very easy to be young, healthy, energetic, whatever, everything's going your way. It's very easy to be that person, and you don't really need God or faith or spirituality, because I think that later on, I've gone through. I'm remarried. I've gone through a divorce, and my dad died. My grandma died. I've gone through a lot of rocky patches, and I think that when you are going through those rocky patches in your life, I think that's when it, at least in my case, faith plays an incredibly important role, because it really gets you back on track. It brings you solace and purpose,
Mhm.
and sort of a promise that there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's almost like just telling you to keep going. It'll get better.
Yeah. Well, Tom Tikka, thank you so much for spending time with me here on Daily Spark TV. I have really enjoyed talking to you today. And of course, I wish you nothing but future successes, be it that we're dealing with this COVID, for a while longer, or a vaccine in the next few days. Either way, continued successes, and may God continue to bless you. Thank you for being on.
Well, thanks for having me. Likewise, it was a treat.
Thank you. Well, viewers, thank you for spending time with us as well. We hope that we have enlightened, inspired, and empowered you. Until next time, everyone, be blessed. Bye bye.
Hi, do you have something to share? Be a guest. Want to sponsor an episode? Visit drangela.chester.com. Thanks again for watching Daily Spark TV.